For today's sharing, again, I want to focus on the concept that, the holiday, people are celebrating New Year's and so forth, but just, at the deepest level possible. We'll then be following that with a meditation. Instead of a meditation, we'll be doing the burning bowl. So combined, we'll have some time to center and integrate what we've learned today, but also the burning bowl ceremony. And some of you are here online, brand new, first time perhaps, or maybe only a few times. Same with you folks in the room. We appreciate that you've chosen this Unity of Sedona, as we call it. It's a global ministry that we all share. We have wonderful chaplains that are part of this ministry. They pitch in to do hands-on healing, counseling. It's such an amazing group of people. But this is a center. I like to think of it as a center. A center allows it to be broad enough to be a sanctuary for safety, for learning, for healing. Just the whole word sanctuary, it's sacred it comes from. So it's really, really beautiful that we co-create a very sacred space, but not sacred in the real serious kind of a way. Yes, sacred, but also light. It's nice to play, laugh, have some music that we all can sing along to, and so on and so on. So that's sort of the folks that are newer, that's what you sort of will see or experience in this particular group. And I'm grateful that what we're sharing is just, it's going all around the world. We've, I've been touring and teaching for a long time. And throughout my years, I've always thought, man, I'm on tour and I can't picture that ending because that's what I was doing for so long. But I thought if ever I had a space that I was in consistently, like my own kind of church or whatever you'd want to call it, there are things I would do differently, absolutely. But one of them was it needs to be a sacred experience. Again, not solemn, that's what we're used to when we hear sacred, but a really beautiful sacred experience. The people in the right state of mind, consciousness development, the art, everything needs to contribute. The colors in the room, to the art, to the sounds, the music, the type of things carried in the bookstore, and the type of decisions made by the board. There has to be a consistency. That's how I always felt about it. And I saw a piece here and there that was intact at various centers, and lots of pieces that weren't there. But I assembled it. That's what happened for this Unity of Sedona, is the greatest hits of Michael's tours. It really is, and that's consistent with what I want to share today, and that is, people do their New Year's resolutions, and typically what does that mean? Gosh, bless you. Typically, I'm going to absolutely do this large thing, that's too much for me to do, and then I won't do it. I always encourage people, first of all, only try to change what you can really commit to and change. I'd rather see incremental successes than huge failures. So that's a wise piece, first of all. The other thing is just remember the idea of assembling your life, like I just described. I saw what it could look like, a piece here and a piece here and a piece here and a piece there. Always knew. Since I was a kid, I knew. There's, wow, that piece of something, where's that going to apply in my life? It could be even with relationships. Instead of where's that one and only, which everybody's vague about what that even means, yet you assign it to somebody. Where's that one and only? Assemble it. What have you learned in terms of challenges from your relations? And what would you like, to say goodbye to? I think I'll do no more of that. And then also, what have you liked? Instead of making somebody live up to or making, whatever, it's let me assemble this. I like a sense of humor. Okay, let's bring that in. I like success. That's good. Cooperation, communication, whatever. Assemble those pieces. This is what I'm about now. Become the change you want to see in your relationships. So this is what I'm about. I like honesty, clarity, humor, like whatever, like that. And that's where I'm at. So somebody you can create by knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Humans love to bargain. Well, this person has 50% of what I would like in a partner. My mother tells me I'm lucky to even get that. So, I guess I'll settle. No. Be 100% blissfully alone rather than, 40%, 50% in hell. In a strange kind of how did I get here experience. Jobs or whatever, finances. Just remember, guys, please remember, assemble the life you're looking for. If you try to make something be, it's not as likely going to come together. Assemble it. Your own lessons, your own integrated lessons. What do I like? What am I about? I learned this, I learned this, I learned this, I learned this. One of the coolest things I remember growing up, to me that was spiritual food for me, which I've shared now and again, is music that had light to it, music that was meaningful, like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, when I'm growing up, that's 50 years ago that I'm a teenager, and in our foyer is a poster of Earth, Wind, and Fire. When we were thinking about, art and music, my mind assembled and it said, wait, I've never forgotten this colorful poster with all their astrological symbols of the band members. I've never forgotten that poster. And it's on our foyer. That's what I mean. When I would go to sacred sites trips, wow, the Great Pyramid or Stonehenge or whatever. When I had a retreat, one of the first things, beep, 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 trucks backing in with my rocks. I wanted Stonehenge built in my yard because I liked Stonehenge. Get my point? It's what I love, I bring into my life. Thou shalt not covet anything is what it meant. You don't need to covet anything, just have it to the best way you can have it. When I was a teenager, I just had the album covers and the music. Now we have a building that we put up a poster in. You manifest it the way you can. Maybe we'll get the band here too someday. But you just change what you can and accept what you can't. So it's all about assembling the new life. Assembling it. Assembling allows me to not wish for it, but to literally reach out and grab pieces and pull them to me. Like, just, wow, what would really make a great Christmas, let's say? What would you like? What's your favorites? Well, I can't afford a whole lot, but a tree. Let's start with a tree. And maybe this year you buy some lights. And maybe the next year you get something else. But stop talking about it, stop wishing for it, and definitely stop complaining about it. You want it? Have it. Don't covet it. And coveting is to say, I don't have and I wish I could have. That person's wife, as they say in the Bible, that person's possessions. It's not a shaming you to say don't covet. It's advice. What would you like? Wow. I like their stability. More of that would be good. I like their sobriety. I like their, healthy relationship. Not go get theirs. How does that look in my life? It's really, really beautiful. When I had little ones, growing up, and they would say, whatever, let's say they wanted a TV. Daddy, we want to get a TV, but Mom says we can't afford it. So I had to have conversations with her, Let's not do we can't afford. Let's do how can we get that? I wasn't trying to just reframe her sentences. This is the truth. You want that? Then okay. How are we going to do that? Let's go. Let's get that to happen. We're co-creators who have become victims on this planet. So wishing for a happy new year and making vows, towards a new year that most people don't even meet those vows. I mean, if you look at statistics, what are they going to tell you? 1 in 5? Is it 1 in 10 that actually keep the New Year's resolutions? The odds are not really great. So I say, well, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk. I want to walk it. I want to live this. So what are you ready to change? Don't be calling in new stuff if you're not making room for it. Don't be one of those people calling in a new wardrobe when you have your wardrobe from the 80s still. Don't be looking for new dresses if the ones you have still have shoulder pads. It's probably outdated. I might be wrong here. And you might be going, oh no, according to styles, this should be coming back in a few years. You shouldn't even want it to. Okay? So, no offense, it's probably cute. But, you know, you want a new relationship, but you're holding on to grievances towards 5 other ones? Please, the whole world is falling apart, you know, as predicted by many of us, but the whole world is falling apart. If everybody's still sitting around trying to keep everything what they would consider to be copacetic, you're doing harm to yourself and others. If I were you, which I've said so many times and over so many years, I refuse to let next year be the same as this year. And that's even when it was a good year. A lot of people were challenged with this last year. So it should be easy for us to want a better year. But don't want it. Don't wish for it. What are you doing to change it? A lot of people, you know, struggling, lose my job. Yeah, but I'm your counselor, remember? And you told me you didn't like your job. You know? You think I'm going to just stand around and let you go, oh, hey, I lost my job. It's terrible. I'm going to be like, reminder, remember? 5 sessions you've had telling me about how you hated your job. So technically you're on, you know, reprieve. You've been released. You should be happy, right? Yeah, but I don't have the money. So what you're telling me is you didn't prepare for it like I advised you in 5 sessions. How would you like to change that? Well, now it's too late. It's never too late. You have all the power, not some. You have all the power in the universe, all of us do, available to us to create change, to co-create a new life with God. Not just a little bit of power, not just well, you know, I believe in mankind. Don't. I believe in man's power to make a difference. Don't. If you learned nothing else, the year 2020 should not make you want to rely on man's ingenuity, man's cleverness, man's intellect, man's ability to create viruses, man's ability to... It's not looking good. The track record isn't good. If we were applying for jobs as gods and goddesses in this universe, they'd never hire us. Well, where's your last job? Earth. What did you do there? Mostly nothing. But everybody I worked for really screwed everything up. You know, we can't really use you. I'm so sorry. You know, that's kind of where they're coming from. And of course, you know, you walk away depressed and they'll say, go back to Earth because that's where depressed people live. You know? But you want to be gods and goddesses, you got to go, okay, wait a minute. Whew, shake it off. No more of this. Sorry about the insanity. I was just nuts for a minute. I'm not a human. I'm a god goddess. They might then look back, you know, from their tablet where they scratched your name off, look back up at you and said, oh, wow, really? Yes, I am. Use the I am differently. I am as God created me. And that means I'm on a trajectory towards wholeness, love, power. You know, am I there yet? No. And I'm fine with not being there yet. But I'm clear that's the only destination for my being. Enlightenment, oneness. I'm ready to be a co-creator. Now, even if they do send you back to Earth in my, you know, metaphor story here, even if they do send you back to Earth, the point's going to still be, how are you going to do? You know, you're going to pull it off. How's it going to be different? So I would say whether it's like a Ebenezer Scrooge story, a Christmas Carol, if it's like a Scrooge story, then it's the same point, which is you're shown what didn't work. Everybody on the planet just went through a Christmas Carol. And the reason that writer called it that is he said, I have a feeling that the story will be something everybody will know and almost like a song, a Christmas Carol. It's going to be a story that everybody would be able to tell about. It's going to be so common to everybody. It's like everybody singing their favorite song together. Let's all sing, you know, hey Jude, you know, and we all just sing along. It's great. Or Imagine or whatever. But he was saying this is a Christmas Carol, really a Christmas story, really a Christ Mass story, really a Christ consciousness story, really an initiatory story about how to awaken Christ consciousness, really how to get through the dark night of the soul so you can get to that Christ consciousness. And when you get there, you'll sing about it. It's called a Christmas Carol. All right? That's where it's all, you know, going. So things weren't looking good for many people the last year. I even know this stuff is coming. I see it. I predicted this year was going to look the way it looked. And still, I admit, it's still bothersome. It's still hard on the human side, not the divine. The human side of me still feels for people. Sick or dying or scared, or the gossip, the hate, the battling on, the news and in the streets. And yeah, my heart's still heavy. My heart's still heavy knowing that it's going to go further and further. Nothing's ever going to be the same. And some people are like, if you really get that line, wow, nothing's going to be the same. I remember going to school. That's not going to happen for kids the way it once did. It's going to all be different. I remember having the choice to go to Disneyland with your kids. That's not going to be the new norm. Even if the world bounces back partially, it will not bounce back entirely. Now, that's heavy if you think about it. Jobs, remember everybody went to work? And now they don't know. They don't know if they're going to work anymore. What's partly happening is you're being given the liberty to have jobs in your own house and not have to drive and go to work as much. Not have to spend 2 hours one way to get to work. I mean, there is some good news to all this. But humans are hypnotized into the life we had, so it seems very inconvenient that should change. But it'll take them just a little bit longer to go, oh, wait, was good. I get it. Wow, I'm kind of liking this, working from home. Or, what about the kids and things that are going to change? Maybe it's not so bad that they're not going to schools and getting shot. The schools stopped being safe a long time ago. So the world is collapsing, but it's because the world was messed up. It's not like heaven collapsed, so why are we all so bummed? It's all right. I know it seems heavy. I know it feels awkward. Breathe through it and co-create a different world while you're here. If you get to the other side and they say, how'd you do? Well, I just died of old age, really just kind of, marking time and waiting for that to happen. They're going to say, well, it didn't even occur to you to want to lighten the load for others and live a more happy life? Oh, no, I was busy getting old and dying. They're going to just send you back. We have to be able to answer at the end of every day, at the end of every year, have I made a difference? If you can say, yes, I think you're doing great with your life. Nobody should or could question it. Are you making a difference? Today, did you in any way make somebody smile? Well, no, because I was hanging out in a place where there was a lot of tragedy, a lot of people were sad. Okay, I don't mean just here. Did you make them smile in here? Did you help them feel at all valued? People can be dying. You could be working in a hospital and doing hospice work. People are dying. There's a lot of commiserating and hurting. But did you at all lift their heart? If not, write it on a piece of paper, burn it, and say, I'm done doing what I was doing, and I'm going to do it differently now. I know it's difficult for a lot of people. I do. I know a lot of things can be challenging. Careers. Well, Michael, you're telling me, yeah, we can co-create and we can create our own reality. And so fine. So I have a session with you, and you've told me now very clearly, let's pretend, that I'm supposed to be an interior decorator. And I have to tell you, Michael, I've always known that somehow. I've had friends tell me since I was 15, you are amazing. Even friends' parents, when they would get home and I did a little cleaning up and arranging, as a little fun thing we did, they were like, oh my God, who did this? This is great. So I've always known. Well, what do you do? I'm an accountant. Be an accountant if that's your soul, because that's a brilliant thing for the right person. Now, do I want a florist to be my accountant? No. Back away from the bookkeeping. Do not touch my bank statements. Can you imagine? Oh, wow. Chrysanthemums and roses and, while they're supposed to be, doing numbers in columns. No, you want the person gifted with that to do that. You want the person gifted with that to do that. But you also want to be the one who's gifted to do the thing you're here to do. The human race started talking some years ago about 9/11 and tragedies and changes. And they included things like jobs started changing for people. And what I didn't hear enough people talking about is the word opportunity. There was an opportunity. Losing jobs, jobs changing, major corporations closing and so on meant you're supposed to be doing something else. And the only reason you would resist is called fear. The reason those corporations weren't telling you that it was going to come to an end was fear. The reason you didn't see it, you didn't want to know it. You dream everything before it happens. Every major event in your life is dreamt before it happens, which also means subconsciously you know everything that's happening in your life and in the world before it happens. Then why aren't more people walking around knowing what the stock market's going to do tomorrow? And who's going to abandon them next week and fire them the week after that? Because humans love to be addicted to being victims. That way the cortisol level can just stay at just the right 100%. Adrenaline levels, everything could just stay toxic. But peace is waiting for us, guys. We all have the right to co-create with God our soul's purpose, soulmate relationships, and I said ships, plural, because soulmates, I need to be with everybody on the planet. I can have a single soulmate, like a romantic soulmate, that's fine, or have two or whatever you want to have. But soulmates, I need to love everyone. The world has taught me to be afraid of everyone. The world has taught me to be separate. The world has taught me to be racist or sexist or whatever. None of that's God's will. None of that's God's reality. And here we are walking around the planet, those of us that are in religions and philosophies and whatever, we use words like, prayer, inviting the presence of God to the world. You could be pagan and you're still calling the presence of spiritual power into the world. Now that it's happening, everybody's complaining. Let God's will be done. Okay. Well, that would include you finding your soul's purpose. But, by the way, you have another job in the way. So let's get rid of that job so you can find your soul's purpose. Oh, Lord, please, bring my job back. Bring my psychopath ex back, too. Because I want everybody right where I had them so everything feels familiar. And that's why God's like, wow. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves. I'll wait over here. Silly me. I'll just wait over here in bliss, oneness, harmony, love. And all of this is our doing. None of this is the will of God. The stuff that the government is telling you, the stuff the government is doing is not God. It's not God's will. The stuff the medical associations, school systems. I'm not saying all the individuals in it are wrong or bad. I'm saying the systems are demented. And they're created by demented people. They're kept alive by demented people. Demented meaning addiction to being in dimensionality. God is beyond dementia and dimensionality. I want the wisdom of God in my life. This whole premise of A Course in Miracles is what? There's a world that you live in that does not fulfill you, make you happy, and doesn't really exist, but you think it does. Which means if it doesn't exist, then your misery that comes from it doesn't exist. But I know you think it does, so go ahead and hang in there with that. But when you decide that that's not okay anymore, go to the next level and start affirming there's another world. Just live dangerously. No, I think misery is the only world. Okay, then go ahead and enjoy yourself. But you won't. So at some point you're going to say, maybe there's another reality. What would that reality be like? Maybe just 1% better than this one? Or are you willing to say completely different? Where the lion lies with the lamb, where the spider doesn't suck the life out of an insect, a butterfly or whatever, where people don't betray each other, where there's no conflict, no hatred, no, I have to be heard and I'm going to make you hear me. No, nothing. Nothing like that. Only peace, only love, only harmony. Just imagine that there is that other world. So what A Course in Miracles and the teachings of Christ consciousness are all about is simply that there is the world you're in. Can you admit yet that you don't like it? No? Okay, let's have another 2020. How many of those do you need? Still not enough? Let's double the pain of that year. That's what's going to happen until more people say, fine, I'm not happy with the world I created. Next step, there might be another world. What's that one like? Better. How better would you like it to be? You get to adjust the knob on that. Then I'm committed to that world. And that's what's happening in our lives. It's what's happening this last year. But it's also the opportunity coming to us in the next year. So people typically don't want to make room for that new life. They don't want to acknowledge that there's the life that they don't love. And they don't want to acknowledge that you're going to need to do some things to get to the other. All we're describing is the realm of sobriety. You reach bottom, you want to do something different, you're going to have to commit to 12 steps from planet Earth. It's just another recovery program, but it's one recovering from this place. The number one addiction is not alcohol, nor drugs, nor sex, nor food. The number one addiction is codependence. Not everybody's an alcoholic, but everybody's codependent to one degree or another. So relationships are the number one hazard on earth. And that's why A Course in Miracles, this brilliant channeling of Jesus, it's like he imagine Jesus what could have been saying, we're going to channel a book, huh? 20th, 21st century. This is interesting. Okay. Let's see. Let's make it about wearing white and crystals and rituals, and that way everybody can namaste their houses into a better state. No. He says no. Oh, I know. Let's make it about everybody going and packing in at sacred sites around the planet so everybody can Om together in the Great Pyramid. No, they've had a couple thousand years to do that. That didn't work out. So he's looking at all the things that religions, philosophies, New Agers, all the things we've tried, and they didn't work. So he says, let's just go ahead and cut to the chase. The number one issue is relationships. He doesn't mean romantic partnerships, although they're included. He's meaning that the absolute disdain and issues and triggers that humans have with each other is the one thing that'll get them home if they heal it. You're not going to go home just because, you painted your nails gold and put little Om symbols on your nails, when you went to the person that does that. Whatever, That's not going to get you home. You won't get home. We know this. You won't even get home just by saying Om enough times per day. If you don't like people, it doesn't help. Om, I don't like you. Om, I don't like you. Om, you should be different. Om, it doesn't help. So you're encouraged. Do all those things as fun. Do them as dressing, window dressing. Do that as an extra spice to it all. But you must get one thing right, your relationships. They must all be made holy. How? Forgiveness. So don't just go and try to make a new job and make a new relationship. Forgive the ones that didn't go well, and those will be attracted to you more easily. Do you know what kind you're going to have attracted to you? Better ones. Why? Because you're different. You don't have a job frequency out there going, we are job frequency 15. And we're feeling attracted to you because you're only at a 15 instead of 100. So this job is like got this, you got this beacon, this little thing sticking out, calling it to you. I didn't like my last job at all. I hated everybody there. They really didn't get me. They didn't support my energy, and those kinds of comments. There's this beautiful job that resonates with people that hate their jobs. And it'll come to us. It might even look good for a day or two. Eventually, we're going to complain about that one. But when you say, I get it, my God, my boss, that jerk of a person, you're allowed to say that. I could have even used other words. He's just like my ex, who's just like my dad, who's just like my such and such in another lifetime. You'll start to see patterns, and you're the common denominator. So you start unraveling the patterns. Bye. And just, you set them, adrift. Adios. Bye-bye, pattern of, controlling male or controlling female or whatever the patterns are. Set them adrift. Bye. Let somebody else say, oh my God, that's the exact person I'm looking for. Let them hook them in and unpeacefully get a life together. Let someone else pull them in. We should be like, no, I'm going that direction. If you're driving the interstate and you're wanting to get to Canada, it's not good if you see trees, palm trees. You probably are going the wrong way. If you're heading for Florida and you see maple leaves on the signs, you probably are going the wrong way. If you say, I want a good relationship, and you end up with somebody who's narcissistic, etc., maybe that's a sign I'm not going the right way. Do I have to hate them? I wouldn't. It's about us saying, this is the way Spirit sees it. When you say, I don't like that person, it's just like my metaphor of signs. If you're driving for Florida and look, red and white flags and maple leaves, and you get out and you start mugging the sign. That's what it looks like to Spirit when you start hating people in your life. They're just symbols. Why are you mugging the maple leaf sign? Why are you mugging? Why are you verbally attacking your ex? If you want to get that out of your system, good, get it out of your system. But if for 20 years you have the same therapies going on and you're still not liking them, somebody's not integrating their healing therapy very well. There's a point where you feel a shift. That's forgiveness. And you start to go, I still know that somebody stepped on my foot on purpose one day. You're not pretending things didn't happen. But you get to a point where, what can I learn from that? And why was that in my life? 8 billion people on the planet, and they stepped on your foot. So you have to go, okay, 8 billion, and it was my foot. How did my foot end up under theirs? Well, they came over and stepped. Why were you living with them? Didn't the 5 restraining orders tell you anything from exes of theirs? So I'm not saying you're at fault in the terms of blaming you. I'm saying we just start to realize it's not worth my time anymore. Even if it were my fault, which it isn't, it's responsibility, I play a part, but even if it's their fault, my fault, I still don't want to be there. I'm still not interested. Let me check in. Let me muscle test that. Stomping on my foot. No, it doesn't feel right for me. Go and do your little, whatever you need to make sure it's right. To roast spread, looks like being kicked doesn't fit in with my new life. But you will eventually not need any confirmations. You'll just know. When I think about self-love, that just doesn't resonate. That just doesn't make sense at all. Treat yourself as decently as you would a child if you loved one. So it's that simple. Would you want them to have creeps in their life? No. Then don't settle for creeps. Don't judge them for being creeps. Let it be. So we have our reasons for not wanting to change. Generally, it's about fear. There's a vibe in the people listening to this talk. Some of you are kind of like soaking it in, but there's a hesitation because there's still what's called a shell shock. Some people are watching this and they're going, well, this is nice, a new age, spiritual kind of an experience. But some of you are still struggling or suffering from post-trauma, from life, but also from the last year, and you don't even know it yet. So I would sit with that, and I would burning bowl that. Own that you're sad. Own that you're scared. Come to that, beautiful place, the empowering place that says the words, not, I am, a goddess of the universe. I'm all about power, divine feminine power. Not all these wonderful, loud pronouncements. Try this one. I know nothing. Let's try that. Because when I say I don't know, I'm actually emptying my cup so that it can be filled with something new. Now, if I'm in my right mind, why would I empty my cup just to have the same toxic material poured back into it? So we have to get that right. We have to get that clear. That when I'm saying I'm emptying my cup, Mind, body, and soul. I'm emptying my cup. Be willing to own what you want poured back in it. What do you want poured into your cup? I'm emptying so I'm making room for God. I'm not settling. I'm not emptying so I can make room for just a little slightly less miserable life. I want to go all the way with this. I'm ready. I want peace. I want happiness. I want wholeness. Oh, but I can't because my kids make fun of me and my beliefs. Put them on your list for the burning bowl and say goodbye. Oh, I can't. They would never speak to me. They already don't like you. Burning bowl them. Let them go. Don't be held hostage by anybody. I don't care if your mother's 99 years old and you want to be there to see her at her 100th birthday, but every time you see her, she ridicules you, stomps on your foot. Just say, I'd like to have been there for your 100th, but I decided I like myself. Send a message to the world. Do you think they're all going to like that you found yourself? No, of course not. You're not even going to totally like it because it's scary. But when we make that commitment, I'm sorry, guys, it's going to happen. The universe wants us to love ourselves. And if we love ourselves, we won't allow hurting being done to us. And if that's going to happen, then we have to be the ones to say no quite often. Sure, it's nice to have support systems that stand by us and go, hey, let's stand with you and say no. Sure, it's nice to have that. But you've got to anchor that within yourself. You're not going to as likely create it in others. And if you do, that's called codependence. If you create it through others but not yourself, you're depending on them to be it. That's called codependence. So again, I'm ready. I'm committing. What have I got to lose? Everybody's talking about illness and whatever else they're talking about, this weird state of the union and the world. I'm not going to do this anymore. Some of you have done that in partnerships. I'm done. I'm just talking about doing it with your life. And it's going to be seemingly 100 times harder than when you do it with just one relationship. And there's a reason for that, because it is 100 times harder. But if you get it in any one of them, they all become the same, and then it becomes easy. If you don't look at it as I have to go make 10 changes in my life, and instead you realize it's just one, me, the 10 fall away. If you think you have 10 wounds to heal, and you realize it's one, self-worth, the 10 start to fade away. It's amazing when you work with things on a pattern level, the clumps, the groups of them, instead of each little thing, nitpicking each one at a time. So again, I'm ready. I'm committed to a new life. I'm afraid of change. I can see it. I can own it. Put it on my little burning bowl. I'm stuck with familiarity. Let me write that on my little, piece of paper that's going in the burning bowl. People at home, when you do this, just make sure you light it and do a nice little safe in a sink and whatever. Make sure, burn out the fire, or put out the fire. Here we use flash paper. The flash paper, when you are going to come up, don't be startled. And the reason I say don't be, I'm not shaming. I'm saying you don't need to be startled. The flash paper, when you put it to the flame, it's going to go just like that and go. It'll just kind of ignite. It's not igniting like exploding, but it'll have that little poof kind of a feel to it, which is really great. Kind of accentuates the whole feeling of poof, gone. Some of you are going to light it and it's going to take a little minute to burn. Some of you are going to light it and set it down. You're going to notice it's still not burning. It went out. I see this all the time, and somebody's going to go, oh man, is anybody watching? They're going to know that it means I'm still attached to my ex. They don't know what you wrote on your paper. Everybody's not going, I'm just waiting to see if her flash paper burns well, because that'll really be something I can, jab her with later, Your flash paper didn't burn. Somebody's still attached to planet Earth. Just stop. Pick the damn thing up and put it in the flame again. Just burn it. Just let it go. All right? And if you don't, the gals will do it. Okay? They're going to be there. They're going to be, watching and reading what you... No, I'm just kidding. One other thing to really work on, and I'm going to cover more of these kinds of things in detail maybe on Sunday, but remember, there's something called leaks. Leaks, I've done several talks just on this topic, this concept, but Anything in your life that you have started, didn't finish, anything you've promised and didn't stick to, anything you wished for but didn't manifest, they're not just gone. They actually create energetic leaks in your systems. Codependence is a leak. Addiction is a leak. Anything where my power is in any way, shape, or form being taken or sent out of myself. So if I say, there's a DVD sitting on the podium, I'm going to pick it up now. I'm going to pick it up, I pick it up, and I'm going to read a word off the back of this. And I do. It's done. There's no leak. If I say I'm going to do that, I forget to do it. Afterwards, I wish I would have done it. I'm creating a leak. Well, how do I fix it after it's already done? The service is over. They've all gone home. What do I do to read that now? I accept that it's not going to happen. And the leak gets patched again. The cord gets cut. My owning that it's not going to happen is just as healthy as my accomplishing something. But humans don't want to see it that way. They want to not even know they have leaks. And if they do see them, they want to humiliate themselves over it. I should have, I could have, I would have. No. Do it. But I can't, it's too late. Then shut up. Just accept it's gone, right? Can you do that? Can you just go, I'm not going to actually become an astronaut, but I really wish I stop. You're not going to become one. But maybe NASA wants people that are 105 years old and could fail every possible test. Maybe they want that. Not likely. Just stop. Because here's what happens. When you stop draining yourself, you patch the leaks like with any container, the fluids inside tend to fill, don't they? Well, if we're talking about energy, vision, inspiration, here's what happens. Instead of I wish and it's gone, and I draining and leaking, and I probably should have never married that person. There's another leak. Should haves and would haves, and all those are leaks. Stop, write them down, release them. Don't think that writing a thing on a piece of paper and releasing it, burning it, is the magic. The magic is you. Always it's been you. Never anything on the outside. The outside just is a great way to get your mind focused on what you're doing. What you're doing is, in part, if you're going to burn something, if you're going to write something on your papers at home or here and burn it, I recommend that you commit. Don't write anything down that you're not going to be able to do. And this would include, I'll never bring it up again. That's an extra little challenge. See? If you're going to write, the divorce, my ex got most everything. I got so much less. How is that feeling for you? It's terrible. Do you want to keep that? You can. And if you haven't worked on that issue, if you haven't brought it up to a counselor, don't try to burn and bowl it. Go talk to somebody about it. Go ahead and process it. Don't try to rush things gone. Process is valuable. So give it some time. Process. But when something does feel, you know what? They got the better of me in that divorce. And every day that I think about that, they're still getting the better of me in the divorce. I'm also sabotaging my ability to get anything new in my life because I'm still holding resentment about what was taken from my life in the past. So I have no future. Can I commit to putting that on a paper and using it in the burning bowl ceremony? Let's pretend you can. Okay, I'm going to do that. Add that extra line. Don't do it unless you can honestly say, will you not bring it up again? This is assuming you've done some healing with it. Okay? Can you now not bring it up again? Now, I brought this concept up a couple years ago in our burning bowl ceremony, and I'm going to close with this. I basically said, okay, we're going to do it this way. I'm going to actually, because in my life, I thought, I don't really have a whole lot of things that I dwell on and so on, But by this time, I thought, I can sense tidbits of this and that. Maybe no full pie sitting around, but I've got one slice of a pie here, one piece of a pie there, one bite there. I could sense that there were pieces. Is that making sense? So I wrote them down on a list. I thought, maybe 5. I bet I could get to 6 or 7 of these. I filled up a whole page. college-ruled paper, okay? A whole page. There had to be lots, okay? And they weren't major, but I wanted everything out of here. Wrote it all down. And then, I took each one, put it on its own separate little piece of paper, did that, but then caught myself. Are there any of those that you would have a hard time never bringing up again? There weren't those for me, but I noticed another question I asked. Are there any of those that are not yet ready to go? And I think there were 2. One of them, as a matter of fact, was the vision of us ever getting a new building. Yeah. And that was hard. I thought, I wanted us to get a new building a few years ago. We had a chance, but we didn't know about this one that became available. And it was very expensive. It would have really not been right financially. But it was meant to be, man. Synchronicities and all these wonderful things that made it seem like it was just right. Watch out for those. And so I said, okay. And yet, I was frustrated. It was gone. We couldn't get it. I was feeling frustrated. I was this and that and the other. It was on my list of things that were not closed. And I said to myself, all right, I'm going to write it, burn it, and be done and never bring it up again. But something told me there's a couple of things that were on the list that were not done yet, that I needed to give a tad more time. Not because I was being weak or procrastinating. It just felt authentically there's a couple things on there. So I left them to be worked on later. And we're standing in a new building, obviously. So watch yourselves. If you're going to let it go, commit. It doesn't mean you're horrible if you do bring it up. If I released 15 things that day, there's probably 3 or 4 that I still brought up because they're relevant in talks that I give. They're not commiserating, they're not gossiping, they're not hurtful or hateful. They're just relevant so I can talk about them. So don't be fanatical about it, but be happy that if there are 10, and of the 10 things you decide this is at home, maybe tonight, besides what we do here, at home tonight, if you go ahead and do a longer list, just be willing to say, and if there are some things on there that you slip or you bring up again, I would just say to myself, either I slipped, that's fine. If I see I slipped 4 and 5 times in the first week, I'm probably not done with that yet. Am I wrong for putting it in the burning bowl? No. That's what made it come to my attention, that I'm not done. So let me take that to my counselor, my sponsor, my healers, or whatever. No matter what, there's a course that I'm on, and it's to the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay? The tunnel is filled with these things that you should have been writing down and saying goodbye to. So take a moment right now, tune in and decide, and let the Holy Spirit help you. Ask the Mother, the Divine Mother, to help you. What is the thing most relevant, timely for you to do right here today? Don't think it minimal if it's something that you think isn't that big of a deal. If it comes to mind and it stands out in your mind, and if you think about other things, this still seems like the one that is showing up, the one that's surfacing. It's pulling away from the pack and it's standing out. Let's go with it. Take a moment, breathing quietly, centering. On the inhale, I am, quietly in your mind. On the exhale, quietly, at peace. Or relaxed, if you want that word instead. I am at peace. A nice, fluid, calm, tide-like in and out breathing. Several times. Think of nothing else. I am. It's true. I'm affirming it. I am. I'm at peace. I'm centering. I'm quiet. I'm relaxed. Whatever the case may be. And that also means I'm nowhere else right now. I'm nowhere else. I'm right here committed to this. Heavenly Father, Mother God, what would you have me release today? And I know that this means that I'm committing to releasing it, releasing its effects, extending forgiveness to everyone and everything involved. I also know that it means I'm going to give it my best to then not have to bring it up again. In conversations, I can now refrain from that again and again and again. And if I do talk about it therapeutically, I'm fine with that. It has no charge. Nothing has power over me. Least of all, these things that I'm seeing in my mind. So I am prepared. When you're ready, you open your eyes and you write it down. If you feel called to write more than one thing, fine. But you're better off focusing on one or two than 5 or 10 in this ritual. At home, you can take time to do all of them. But you don't want to do a cluster of them that your mind isn't focused on any of them. You want your mind and attention to be clear. This thing I'm saying goodbye to. Rather than a collage. Have your own, for the next 30 seconds, your own quiet prayer. Whether it's an extending of Ho'oponopono prayer, the Hawaiian, Lemurian, I'm sorry that this ever happened to us. I choose love instead. Please forgive me for my part and thank you. Whatever wording you want to use. Your own personal prayer. You can talk to God, Jesus, Mother Mary, or your ex. Whomever you need to chat with right now for half a minute, closure. And then we'll begin walking people through the room and doing a closing prayer. The ushers are going to do the 2 wings first of the seating, the 2 wings first. 1 row at a time. You're going to come up your aisle. You'll set your paper in the fire. They'll help you, the folks that are here. And then you'll walk the outside to the wall and back down the aisle to have your seat again. So don't go back, walking in front of people, okay? Do you mind? Yeah? While they're doing this, please just give this a 10-minute meditation time. Hold space and commit. Commit to saying goodbye, what's on your paper, but also holding space for the other people. We have no idea how many years and lifetimes they may have been holding this hurt, this thing. So we should be humbled to be part of their saying goodbye to it. Put consciousness into it. If you're holding your paper, hold it with intent. I'm saying goodbye to this thing. It's picking up the vibes from your hand. Nice. Making room, aren't we? We're making room for a new life. Nice. Resurrection and gone. Yeah, don't snuff out the flame. Just light the corner. Drop it to the sand. Yeah. In a moment, they'll start bringing up the center section. When they do, 1 row at a time, and we'll start at the front. Okay, good. Right down the middle. Right down the middle. The 3 chairs to this side, you're going to go to this side. The 3 chairs on that side, go that way, please. Should be done in a few minutes now. Only a few more rows. Volunteers, ushers, employees, everybody else, you're welcome to walk on up. Centering in now for our close, just prayers of gratitude. What did you learn, if anything, what can you learn from what you said goodbye to? Start with that. What can you learn from it? Extract some lessons so that you can take that with you into your life. To you, Divine Mother, we put whatever we released on the paper, it's symbolic of putting this on the altar. Our hearts and souls, we place this. We allow the fire to take it, consume it, and let the smoke from each rise up to the heavens as our commitment to a new life. We allow the smoke of each and every paper being burned to rise up like the franken myrrh just rising up saying, it's gone, and we're going to rise from the ashes. We're the phoenix. We're the light of God that somehow had forgotten who we were and therefore experienced more limiting experiences in our life, limiting conditions, limiting situations, limits on love, freedom, peace, happiness, to a new level gone. And not only do I give this to you, I welcome in a new life. I insist on a new life. It is my right as a holy child of God to say, I'm ready to be born again. Born again, no one and nothing can birth me new like you, Holy Spirit, Divine Mother. You are the mother of the universe. You are the mother of all souls. So release us and birth us into something new, Mother. Holy Heavenly Mother. Holy Spirit of God, you know exactly how much I'm being sincere here. You know how much I'm committed to saying goodbye to the former. Therefore, you know how much to birth into newness. But I ask you to help me be courageous enough to put less limits as I would have in the past. Help me to believe in an entirely different body. Every organ being renewed, every gland, every cell being renewed, every neuron. Let me have a holy, miraculous experience. Help me to see relations differently, family, partnerships, even aloneness differently. Turn aloneness to all oneness. Turn the quest for a one and only to become love for all, including myself. And teach me how to treat myself as if I matter. My Father and my Mother God are celebrating at the birth of their child. That is a rebirth. But it's not an improving upon. It's a return back to who I really am. And they celebrate the return of their child. It's the manifestation of the prodigal child who is coming home. And all they choose to do with my coming home, not obsessing on where I've been, what I've done, but celebrating that I am choosing to be home. My Father and Mother God they're joyous, they're happy, they're celebrating because I get to have a better life. This is what they've always wanted. I got in the way, and I died of the old self today. It's not just the paper and the comment and the memory. That's a part of me that died. Help me, teach me to die daily of my old self and walk me into a new self. Help me to be a better example to others, not preaching this, being this. Let others see a light in me that they've rarely seen on this planet, but not because I'm better. Simply it evokes a light in them that brings them even greater joy. Praise God. the Father and the Mother God, as well as the Holy Child, the Christ that I am. I will to be the Christ on earth. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And repeat after me, please. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My finances are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Really believe it, feel it. My relationships are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My family is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My mind is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My work is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything about my life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Praise God. Here comes the sun. And so it is. Thank you. Take a moment just to stretch, slowly stretch, and just feel good. Feel like you're not stretching out, you're stretching in. You're taking everything we just covered and packing it into your system. My bones feel it. My joints feel it. Every aspect of my being can feel this thing that's happening. My lungs draw it in. I'm programming a new life. Really take a nice hearty breath that this is your new beginning. When you're ready, do so. It's a commitment. It's only a breath. Can you do it? Oh, nice. When a baby takes its first breath, all the stars are programming your astrological vibes into your system. When you take any new breath, it's happening again. So we start new. All right? We start new. Thank you. What we've gone through the last year was part of the process to getting to the new life. I mean, I know it's still a bummer and uncomfortable to some people, but it is the dark night of the soul. I've never, ever in my life been going through the dark night of the soul and went, woo! Yeah! Never. You know, that's not your affirmation. You're like, I want to die. God, can you take me? That's what you're saying in the dark night. You're never like, whoa, wow, life is good. Everything's just so bright I got to wear shades. That's not what you're thinking. I want to die. That's not a negative. That's how you feel in the dark night. And that's what people are thinking this last year. Meaning, I'm sad, I'm scared. I want to die is just a metaphor of any form. I'm hurting. I'm giving up. Or I'm so scared I don't even want to think about it. I want to pretend everything's okay. There's that. And that's dark night. That's the tunnel. And everybody's like, hope this ends soon because I want to get onto my light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, here comes another check from the government. Oh, here comes another. Everything is about stimulus in this world. Oh, look, somebody else that eyeballed me. Maybe I have a new relationship coming up. What about the psychopath kind of symbol on their forehead? Maybe not. No, but I was told, today could be a new stop. You haven't even finished dying yet, and you're trying to start a new relationship, which is an addiction. Stop. Finish dying. It's not easy, but try to finish dying. Finish transmuting. Finish saying goodbye to the past. Everybody's so addicted to the former world, they keep trying to jump into it again and restart it. It makes no sense. Let's resuscitate our the relationship that ended 10 years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. They died to you 10 years ago, and you're trying to get them back. Jobs, lifetimes even, they're gone. I don't want them to be gone. I'm sorry, that probably hurts, but they are gone. That's the counselor, the sponsor, the healer. We have to start telling people, it's done. Say it nicely, tactfully, but we have to be an example. It's done. Well, I can't wait. Next year everything's coming back. Really? I'm done with that world, that life. Don't you want your job back? No, but I'm good with my soul's purpose. I'm looking forward to that. Okay? Abusers, abusees, goodbye. Say goodbye to it all. Find the new life. I know it doesn't seem easy, and that's because we've been too distracted for too long with not having that. But now we can. And again, please remember, it's God's will. So it's just a matter of time. I'd like to just shorten up that time frame, that's where free will comes in. I can shorten up the little learning curve time frame. Instead of going this way and finding it, I can just zip right to it. Shortest distance, a straight line, I'm going. Please stand for our closing affirmation. Centering, full intention, please. And thank you, and God bless you for your donations and your support and your prayers today. But also, all year and all the years that I've been here, which is over 10 now. All right, so thank you. I mean that. God bless you all. I hope I have served you as well as I have tried to. And thank you to all of you for being such a wonderful mirror of goodness. I don't know that I've known that in my life as well as I do now. Well, it's true. I've had life, I've had things, I've had family, and this and that. Stuff that, it's the stuff of normalcy that we consider some pros and cons in the world. I've been blessed to be able to tour and meet nice people because I only ever worked in spiritual centers. So that was a really beautiful blessing that I earned somehow. But to be 10 years with people and feel such goodness and such blessing from them, such love and support, you don't even get that from your families. This has been just stellar. So yeah, on a 0 to 10, you guys are a 10. So God bless you. I mean that. So thank you. What we say is truth. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is.